What's going on, Port fans? Welcome back to another video on the channel, and today we're going to be reviewing Port Adelaide versus the Western Bulldogs. Round 5, gather round at the Adelaide Oval, 45,000 people, soaking wet, pissed down with rain, and Port Adelaide got the job done by 14 points in what was a pretty gutsy comeback as such, but 8 points down, it is what it is, but, it was one of those games that you really had to dig deep to find a way to win, and Port Adelaide did that. So I'm looking forward to getting through this review and talking about exactly how Port Adelaide beat the Dogs. So excuse my voice. It was a pretty loud atmosphere last night. It definitely was something that was an experience like no other in terms of gathering and having people around you that wouldn't be there at a Port game normally for a home game. And it wasn't, obviously it's not really a home game because it's gather round, but just the way everything was built up from the previous game with Essendon and Melbourne, from the Veronicas performing, from the weather conditions, to just being around people and enjoying the atmosphere. Gather Round truly has been a massive tick for me. And to be a part of Port Adelaide's win in those conditions, it definitely had its moments. I thought overall our performance across 4 quarters was decent. I didn't have a big complaint about certain things. I don't think we really had, it was just a good wet weather game of football. That's I had to put it down. The Dogs took their chances, they had their moments. Port Adelaide did the same, and then in the end, in the last quarter, kicked 4 goals straight, which was the difference in the end. I think that tweak in giving Marshall a little bit more space, Dixon going into the ruck and Lysette being subbed out was the key moment for Port Adelaide to get a wriggle on a little bit, and also that I was going to talk about the 3 quarters before the last quarter. But overall, it came down to that last quarter, and there was Zach Butters who performed brilliantly. Jason Horne-Francis' last quarter was absolutely sensational. Travis Boak was absolutely phenomenal in trying conditions. Chad Marshall was clutch in both moments as well when he kicked 2 great goals. That fantastic mark, 35 out, and then right on the boundary line, absolutely magnificent. So for these moments to happen, and then Aliir, down the other end was just outbodying his opponent. It was phenomenal again, tackling on the goal line, saving goals. He's just a phenomenal footballer, and I think it was those key moments that Port Adelaide started to click in and win is what became the difference for us. And normally that's not the case. Normally we do fold away a little bit, and when the Dogs did go 8 points up, I really did think, right, well, we're in trouble. I was a bit scared, so for us to pull that back again shows the amount of character that we have, and for us to come out 14-point winners, go 3-2, things do look a little bit better. Gee, Zach Butters is good, isn't he? Just those types of conditions are just his type of performance that he excels in. Colorosi was a bit down. I thought Ollie Wines first half was really good, but fell away a little bit in patches in that 3rd and 4th quarter. He was just one Zach Butters that was consistently just at the footy, was in there, in the contest, and he had people helping him around him in patches. So for one key player to stand up and do that consistently over 4 quarters and have everyone else stick around and really implement their case, essentially, it helped back Zach Butters. And that final moment where he kicked that goal after intercepting the ball and putting it through to put us 14 points up was, for him, a moment that I think nailed the point of he's another midfielder that we have that can stand up in a key moment and really put their prints on a game of football. And that's exactly what you need. That's exactly what you want. And Zach Butters is showcasing that. He's had a good, consistent run, and his last 2 weeks have been fantastic. Obviously, his game against Sydney and then his game this week against the Dogs. Zach Butters deserves a lot of credit for the way he performed, but also for how the team got across the line. All right. I will talk about Trav Boak's goal. Holy shit. I nearly fell off my chair. In fact, I probably did fall off my chair. I nearly fell off the stadium. That's how excited I got. And it was just unreal to see. Trav Boak doesn't kick goals often, and his set shots can be questionable sometimes. But for him, 45 out on that type of angle was class. It was pure class. It was just beautiful to watch. We saw Todd Marshall kick a goal from pretty much a similar angle, right on the fence in the last quarter, to put us in front, I think it was. So for those goals to go through in those moments, I mean, it was a tie-breaking quarter in the second quarter. Boat kicked the goal and the game opened up a little bit more for Port. And then the last quarter, Toddy putting us in front. Just those moments, I'd speak about moments, it's those goal moments that you don't expect to come that really lift the side. And that's what Boak's goal was. It was a real clicker in that third quarter, and it's got in that second quarter, sorry, and it really got us going. Speaking of goals, Cody Waitman is a real thorn in our side, isn't he? It just really kicks goals every time we play, and I think that's down to no real small forward, a small defender to man a small forward. I don't think we have that one key small defender to be on those small forwards. So Ryan Burton had the job, didn't do great. I thought Ryan Burton with the ball was good, but you know, and then obviously Dylan Williams was playing a really good game down there. Darcy Byrne-Jones has moved up forward in a pressure role, which I found very interesting, but also very impressive because he was very good. He kicked 2 goals. That first one in the first quarter was unreal, and he's just turned a corner a little bit, Darcy, and I think that position change has done well. So I'm very pleased. Overall, the team performance was good. Like, I'm very happy. I'm very pleased with the result. We're 3-2. You could pinpoint people everywhere and how they performed. But overall, that last quarter was the difference for me, and it showcased how much character this team has. And with Horne-Francis, you know, actually, I'm going to touch on that. Ken Hinkley. Ken's performance as a coach over the last 2 weeks. Now, I'm not shying away from the fact that, you know, we've got 10 years of this and all of those arguments. I'm going to base this purely on the last 2 weeks. Ken's coaching in the last 2 weeks has been very, very impressive. His connection with the players is next level. Sure, they might be frustrated at how they're performing, but his last 2 weeks, there is no one that can be out there and say he hasn't coached badly at all. Like, he has genuinely been, you know, the antagonist of this whole situation. What he said in the press conference to defend Jason Horne-Francis got so much respect from me because he's standing up for his players. This 19-year-old kid who's being booed, sitting in the crowd and hearing Bulldogs fans boo Jason Horne-Francis. You've got no part of what he's been doing with North Melbourne coming to Port Adelaide, his trade. What are you booing him for? I just don't understand that mentality. You're going to boo a 19-year-old kid for the sake of it? It's piss poor. And for Ken to come out and say that in the press conference, to defend his players like that, it's always been one of his strengths, and I'm very happy he did so, and he was very aggressive about it, which is something that needs to, you know, if you need to stand your ground and really make a point, have a lot of aggression in what you're saying, because you're going to get your point across, and I think Ken did that, and I was very impressed by that. And overall, well done to the Port fans, cheering Jason Horne-Francis every time we got the footy in the last quarter, because it showcases that we actually care. And, you know, if you want to boo a 19-year-old kid for playing a game of footy, coming home and being a part of his team that he wants to be a part of, he got traded here. He wanted to come home. He didn't want to be a part of a culture that didn't suit him. I have nothing but respect for JHF and Ken. So, overall, 3-2, happy days. I'm happy. I'm very much feeling last night, but I'm very pleased with Port Adelaide's performance. 3-2, we've got the West Coast Eagles next week for Anzac round on the Saturday. So, yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. We can go 3 wins on the trot, and I think that will set us up really nicely going into the next 4 games after that, which can be crucial. I did state a couple of weeks ago that the next 5 games for Port from Sydney onwards were very important. We've ticked 2 boxes now, and we're going to be right in the mix. So well done to Port Adelaide, and well done to everyone for turning out for Gather Round. It's been absolutely sensational. Thank you so much for watching, Port fans, and everyone watching as well. Thank you very much. Subscribe to the channel if you're new for plenty more Port Adelaide and AFL content to come your way. The Glass Table coming out this week as well, so make sure you check that out. My name's Anthony, and as always, count the pair.